So, I was driving down I-15 when all of a sudden this jerk pulled in front of me, going 70 miles per hour. Bear in mind, this was the fast lane, and this turkey had the audacity to go the speed limit. The speed limit! What was he trying to do, make the rest of us late for work? So I did my civil duty and said, "This guy thinks he owns the road." Having said that, I felt much better about myself because, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, everybody does it. When I glanced at the lady in the next lane over, I could tell that she agreed that this guy thought he owned the road. The turkey. In fact, judging by the subtle movement of her lips, I'm pretty sure she called him a turkey too. There's a lot of turkeys out there. It's sad but true. And it's our job to stand up to them by calling them turkeys. I mean, what if nobody called the guy who cuts you off on the highway a turkey? How else would we know that he's a turkey? It's a tradition that's lovingly passed on between generations. Of course, we don't actually do anything about the bad drivers. That's the responsibility of the gods, the highway gods. Our solemn responsibility is to complain. However, one day something happened that shook my faith. You see, it was rush hour. There was cars packed in the lanes on both sides, and I got caught behind this grandma. The grandma of grandmas. She was driving a pink 77 Cadillac, and I swear she couldn't have been going over 20 miles per hour. So I called her a tire-licking goat, which made me feel marginally better. But as the miles rolled on, and still I was caught behind the grandma, I started wondering if the highway gods were even listening. As disturbing as this was, when I happened to glance in the rearview mirror, there was no mistaking the word rolling off the lips of the guy behind me. Turkey. "I'm not the turkey," I cried. "The grandma is. It's not what you think." But he just did it again. Turkey. I was so disturbed I couldn't focus on the road, and I sort of rear-ended the grandma, which resulted in a 5-car pileup, and I spent the next 6 months in the hospital. This gave me a lot of time to think, and I couldn't help but wonder if there was some sort of karma in all this. Karma with a C, not to be confused with the ancient Hindu belief of divine retribution. We're talking about automotive retribution. The idea that the way we treat each other on the highway may have profound consequence, even when no one else is listening. As soon as I got out of the hospital, I was eager to put this theory to the test. So when these teenagers, a guy and a girl, crossed the double white line, cutting me off, I said, "They must be in love." And when this guy kept swerving lanes, knocking over construction cones, I said, "He must be high on life." And the funny thing is, there was no traffic that day. And when I got off the freeway, every light was green. Karma. Well, I didn't have an immediate transformation, I regret, and there may have been a few lapses, like the time the guy in front of me stopped at a yellow light. "Jerk!" I cried. That was when my transmission gave out and one of my tires rolled off. But eventually, I got it. You see, it's not about where we're going, but how we get there. Whenever I drive, I always let people pass in front of me, and sometimes I even signal. And when you get a boot on your car, it's because you're a sinner. The funny thing is, I noticed that my gas meter as the days went by actually started slowing and slowing until it stopped altogether and started going the other direction. My car was gaining more energy than it was burning. Karma. Well, one day I was given the ultimate test. You see, I was in the fast lane going 190 when I felt something I'd never felt before. A pang of conscience, I think? And for whatever reason, I must have achieved this state of automotive sainthood because I felt this overwhelming desire to slow down and be an example for my fellow men. After all, I mean, the purpose of the highway is to warm one another through love and greenhouse gas. So I slowed down to 70. And as soon as I did so, the honking, headlight flashing, and bird flipping began. Behind me was none other than the guy who had falsely accused me of being a turkey. He was once again calling me a turkey. I couldn't believe it. Well, I continued to drive as he called me a turkey, and then I thought, maybe he's right about me. Maybe I am a turkey. Maybe it's the solemn responsibility of the turkeys to stand up for what is right on this lonely, forsaken path when no one else will. And as I was thinking this thought was so transcendent that I had an out-of-body experience, which was a really bad idea while driving. The next thing I knew, I crashed into a semi-truck and the guy behind me crashed into me. That was 34 years ago in a past life. But as you know, the great wheel of karma continues to turn. And of course, I came back. And as you can see, judging by my handsome and celebrity status of my new incarnation, the highway gods smiled favorably upon me. As for that other guy who died in that crash, well, I saw him just the other day. I was driving by a farm near Spanish Fork when there he was. There was no mistaking that ornery look in his eyes. And I have to say, the beak suited him nicely.